welcome to Crochet Knit Love by Jo. I'm Jo and this is podcast number 11. So, do you want to laugh? Guess who's just waffled on for 30 minutes? And got hot and bothered because it is very muggy at the minute. Went off on a tangent. Just checked and it wasn't recording. Even though when I sat down it was recording. All I can think is I knocked my little button thing. So, not happy about that. But anyway, I'm basically going to repeat myself for the next 30 minutes. Good job it's not, there's no one in the room. The dog has literally passed out with boredom. So here we go again. But obviously when I'm talking to you, it will be the first podcast. Anyway, has everyone been all right? I was trying to think what I'd done the last couple of weeks, apart from working. Knitted. Yarn dyed. So I have been able to do some nice yarny things. So I hope everyone has been well. I have got rid of crappy COVID, although I am struggling at the minute with really severe tiredness. That I could literally fall asleep in the afternoon or the morning, to be honest, or as soon as I get up. Really, really tired. I did suffer with that before, amongst other things. So I have got off lightly this time, but the tiredness is a little bit annoying. The other night I was having a little knit, and I heard sniggering, and then opened my eyes because I suddenly realised I was falling asleep whilst knitting, which I'm sure a number of you have done that. I have done it before, but it just seems to be a bit too frequent. But Carl and Jake found it highly amusing. I didn't drop a stitch, so I literally was mid-knitting, holding knitting with my eyes shut. I bet there's a few of you that have done that, particularly if you're knitting or crocheting late at night and it's that one more stitch, just another row, just get to the end of the pattern. I need to finish this. Particularly crochet I don't find as bad because you can literally pull the loop up, take the hook out. With knitting, if you're halfway in a row, I've done it before where I've actually gone back and started knitting the wrong way, thinking it was that way, and if I'd just gone to the end of the row I would have known to then turn the work, but no, not I. So yes, that's been kind of my couple of weeks. Nothing too dramatic. Well, there could be, but I probably wouldn't remember. So I was going to get a blanket, but too warm. It's too warm. So another thing, when it's too warm, there'll be a few viewers out there that where you live probably is colder more than warm, or on the flip side where it's just really, really hot. For us people in the UK, we can get quite a bit of rain, can be cold. So when we get the warm weather, we go crazy. You see a lot of people with sunburn and everyone's out loving it. But then within a matter of days, quite a lot of us, me including, will be complaining we're too hot and I wish it would just rain or be cold. We're basically never happy, are we? So the thing that I don't like with the heat is it can affect what I'm making, knitting or crochet. It can be too hot. So if I am in the garden now, you won't catch me sitting in the sun because basically it's too hot. So I'm under a big umbrella with a nice cold drink knitting. So I won't be that. I won't necessarily have a suntan anymore. But hey, I'll have lots of good projects made. So projects made. I made this in 2018. It's crochet. And for those of you who don't know, I'm talking to you like you're 5. This is a crochet garment. And I crocheted this 2018. And by crocheting a top, just so you know, I did have the top on, but the fact I didn't record and I was absolutely sweltering, it's been taken off now. I can't wear it again and record. I'm too warm. Although it was a little looser in 2018. Can't think why that would be. But I made this with Stylecraft cotton DK, and the pattern I've had to write down is called Granny Stripes by lanaseeorvilos.com. Put the name underneath so you can have a look up. And this was Granny Stripes, because it's literally the Granny stitch. Those of you who crochet, if you were crocheting a blanket normally, though you can do it the other way, if you were just doing a standard granny stitch, your granny's stitch would look like that. So 3 trebles in each gap. So you would see the top of your crochet stitch there. When you're doing the tops, they're upside down, which you can't tell it's part of the makeup of the top. But for this, it's only if you kind of know what you're looking for that you go, oh, your stitches are upside down, but that's kind of how you do it. By learning how to crochet a top, I understand how a simple raglan works, because this is the same principle, albeit with crochet stitches, is you're crocheting a loop, as it were, and then like knitting, you will break for the sleeves where you join it. But instead of knitting, you would do your chains and join that way. So this is 3/4 sleeves, which I love. You will notice that there's dark grey probably 1/3 of the way down. I then run out of dark grey because I didn't plan it very well. I was using my stash. Refused to buy any more cotton and carried on using dark pink, light pink and grey. And then it has obviously the stitching at the bottom to finish it off, which is the same on the band. Really like cotton tops. They can stretch out of shape depending on the cotton, I find. And when you wash it, it's heavy as anything. So you dry it flat and then it almost kind of goes back into shape. But if you were to hang it on a line, it's like the bottom's kind of hanging. So I can dry them on the washing line, but I'll sort of drape it across. I've got a rotary line so I can drape it on the top. But that is a crochet top that 2018. So I've had it 4 years and it's really lasted well. Perfect to wear. Now, there'll be those of you that can get away with it and probably look fab in it, will just literally wear this over your underwear. I will not be that person. I will wear a vest top and then wear it over it. I would like to make a wool or warmer version, and then in the winter, even with the 3/4 sleeves, just have like a long sleeve top or thermal top under it, which you could do with this one. Not today though. So that is the crochet top that, yeah, I've had quite a while. I was having a sort through. I've made quite a few crochet clothing tops, jumpers and cardigans. Not so much knitting clothing, but obviously I haven't been doing that as long. So another maker that you can get patterns similar to that is Iron Lamb. I've pattern tested Iron Lamb a number of times, mentioned her before, and she does really good crochet patterns. And she has the, I think it's the Granny Rocks top and cardigan. I've got both patterns and just need to make them. I have a lot of patterns. I have far more patterns than I will probably ever make. A lot of them are free though. There's a couple of pages on Facebook if you go on to, and they're free crochet patterns on Ravelry and free knitting patterns on Ravelry. I've joined both, and I've got a big library on Ravelry, but there's only a percentage is purchased. A lot of them are free or new releases, which is great. But obviously if you can support designers, then obviously you can buy their patterns as well. So I've got a lot of sock talk to talk about. And what I wanted to mention first is I'm a big fan of podcasts, obviously doing my own podcast. And I have come across podcasts. I've mentioned Grocery Girls before. They kind of inspired me to do or to start a podcast. But I've come across another podcast recently that they are a breath of fresh air. and I like their relationship. They're a married couple. They're called Kevin and Ray, and their podcast is Needles at the Ready. I'm only on probably podcast 12, something like that. I have a lot to watch. They've been going several years now, and their podcast, it's so refreshing. It's not a sexist thing. I'm far from it. It's so refreshing though to see a couple of guys doing a podcast about knitting and crochet. It's probably like I'm trying to get my son to take, go on, do it, because I can't pass it on to it. I want to pass it on to you. Crochet he's dabbled a bit with, and knitting. He's very creative, but he's not quite got the urge to do that kind of craft yet. Probably because his friends would take the mick. There is a bit of a stigma behind it. I've been called an old lady because I'm always, oh, you got your knitting with you, and get the mick taken. But I enjoy it, and I don't think age is irrelevant, gender's irrelevant, nationality, nothing, because you're knitting and crocheting. Doesn't matter what yarn you use, whether you're really good or new to it. I just think if you're enjoying it, and I have found the more I've got into the crochet, knitting, yarn dyeing, podcasting world, it's a real, it's a community. It's lovely. I personally get a lot out of it. You're not alone with your craft, because a lot of people, will have friends who, I'm fortunate, I've got several friends who, do like knitting and crochet, but not everyone has that, and you can be quite isolated doing it. There's some clubs, obviously lockdown stopped a lot of clubs and things happening, but there's been a lot of online things. So for me, when I find a new podcast, it's great because you have that interaction. One thing I will say, they're really good. I commented on one of their earlier ones because they have a Yorkshire Terrier, I believe it's Yorkshire Terrier, called Tarquin. What a fantastic name. So, because I can relate to that, because we have Lady Ellie, our Yorkshire Terrier, and they were saying about, obviously, how, well, basically they're needy, and just the way they were describing their dog is so like my dog. My dog's literally just over there because she couldn't bear it to be in another room. So they're very down to earth, and they have a real chemistry on camera because they're just literally being themselves, which I love, because that's obviously what, I'm being myself. They've also they started off with just a handful of subscribers. Obviously theirs has grown massive, but it's kind of inspiring me to continue with it, and that it doesn't matter where you're from, what you do, if you want to kind of go down this route with the podcast. I'm not doing it to, I know people out there make lots of money with it, but mine's so I can talk about yarn. And also it was to help kind of showcase a bit, because obviously I've gone down the yarn dyeing route, but also to make more contacts in this fibre world, because there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of us yarn addicts out there. So it's like a big club. But yeah, go and check them out. Needles at the Ready. Kevin and Ray are over on YouTube. Go and follow them. I did see their latest one come up, and wasn't paying much attention to the order I was watching them. It started playing, and I thought, that's not right. And then I looked and realised it was the recent one, because I'm trying to work old to new. What did make me laugh though is, like me, they obviously have these, they have units behind them, and when they first started there was fairly empty shelves of yarn, and now they're rammed full. The same was with Tracy and Grocery Girls. They tend to film at her house more, and her yarn stash has severely grown. So I think the more you talk about it, the more you end up showcasing it or buying it. So I'm trying to be good, but I also want to support yarn dyers and makers anyway. So anyway, that's a podcast I'd recommend. Very roundabout, long story. That's me. So what have I? Socks. finished another pair of socks. I showed a little bit of these socks when we were at Blackpool and they were on all the crazy rides, and so I sat having a knit. I didn't show any more because I've been knitting these next to Carl, who doesn't take notice of everything I make, because to be honest, he'd never be able to watch any telly. But I made these for him for Father's Day. Yay, another pair of socks. Look at me. I've made 3 pairs of socks. I've got the other socks that fall into bits, and I've got these ones just here that I showed last time, and then these ones I finished. DK sock yarn, Crazy Sock Lady DK yarn pattern. And this, I think I made a mistake with the yarn. I mentioned the yarn, I said it was Emma's yarn, and I think I've actually got the skeins of yarn around the wrong way. Emma's yarn is this one, the little mini that I used, and I'm pretty darn sure, I'm almost certain of it. I don't know where I've put the label, sorry. Pigment and Ply is the actual sock yarn. It was only when I was knitting it further and I'm looking thinking, that isn't that yarn. That's definitely not that. So a little tip, keep hold of your bands for your sock yarn. I did not for this. I did though, when I wound them up, I do pop the little band into the yarn, but obviously once I started using it, who knows where it went. It's probably with my headphones that I've misplaced. So I have the they're called earpods. I'm normally calling the wrong thing. That's my set of earpods. I only had one in, and I had the case with the other one, and my phone rang, and so I started jabbering on the phone and then carried on knitting like you do, and then went to put my pods away, and I don't know. I know I did get up and start walking. I walked from the garden into the house. I've been all up and down the garden. I basically have this pink case with another pod in it. Don't know. Who knows where it is? Probably with the yarn band somewhere. So that's annoying. I have tried the Find My Pod thing, and this keeps going off, but not the other one. Yeah. A little bit annoyed with that. I am doing a lot more of that where I'm forgetting things. And I am not the sort of person that loses things, although I do think I'm losing my marbles at the minute. That's another story. But yeah, so I think I've made a mistake with the yarn, Pigment and Ply, which is lovely. Carl and I have, which is quite funny, we have similar sized feet. So that means I've got big feet for a woman and he has small feet for a man. But it's really useful for sock knitting, because if these fitted me, I knew they would fit him. And also I knew they fitted me, so if he didn't like them, although he does really like them, although he's not been allowed to wear them because I wanted to keep them on these hangers. I've got the other ones on the wooden blockers. These are really good for the fact when they were wet, I could hang these out on the line. Now, I didn't buy these from anywhere. I actually got these free with a craft magazine yonks ago. We're talking years ago. And had them on the shelf, never used them. But obviously they're perfect for drying the socks. But I have obviously kept them on. So that was how I blocked them. Washed them. Obviously got some of the water out and then hung them on the line like this, which was great. So yeah, I'm getting better with my socks. I do have to really concentrate with the heels. I know there's a number of you that would use the Afterthought heel. Not there yet with that. So I just do a basic slip stitch heel. But they're getting better. I'm getting better. I did go off on a tangent on the toe on one of these. My problem is I should watch telly when I'm doing that bit and that bit. When I'm doing that bit, or the heels, I should sit in a quiet room. Or sometimes I'm watching podcasts. I do that in the morning. Get up, have a cup of coffee, because obviously the house is, everyone's fast asleep, even the dog when I get up. So I sit in the yarn room, have a coffee, look at all my yarn, and watch podcast. So not good when I'm doing heels. But yeah, he was really pleased with them, and that's just a plain vanilla sock. And that's the DK, the free pattern, Crazy Sock Lady. So I also, I think I showed, so what I've actually done is really trashed here now. It was all lovely and tidy to start, but obviously we're on version 2 of podcast. I think I'd started these on the last podcast. I'm now doing the heel. Let's see how it kind of ends up looking. I got distracted and was sorting through my sock yarn to see, because I have a few. I'm like, what sock yarn I've got, because I'm not buying the commercial yarn, because I've got a few skeins. I'm going to sort out what gift knitting, that sort of thing. So I'd started these and then got distracted by the sock yarn. I started another pair. How silly am I? I mean, finish this pair and the other pair. No, not me. I'm like, look at me with all the sock yarn. Isn't that nice though? So this is self-striping sock yarn, but it's commercial sock yarn, so far as obviously there's quite a few balls of yarn out in the world. This is Lovecraft's yarn, and it's their paint box sock yarn, and this is the Stripes Rainbow. That's what that one is, if you can see that. And that is how that's coming. So obviously that looks quite bright in places, but that's because I haven't got to that bit yet. I've got the minty greens and oranges and yellows to come across. So that's that. So started another sock, and this is just the like a simple sock pattern, a vanilla sock, and that's the Crazy Sock Lady pattern that had been recommended as well. The only thing I did do, or shouldn't have done, it's got a tiny little blue on the top, because that's what it started with. But it's fine, because I'm learning all about the socks again. So that's that one. So I'm going to show some of the sock yarn that I have. So that is the paint box. So it shows I've got several other colours in the paint box yarn. So this is, the paint box yarn is 75% wool, 25% polyamide, and it's that colour. And this is Stripes Dreams. I've also got, this is Candy in the paint box yarn, and that's striping as well. And then this one is striping as well, and this is called Moody Sky, which I really like the colours in that. So not everyone is in a position to get hand-dyed yarn. I am a massive fan of hand-dyed yarn, I must admit. But if you've got a load of gift knitting, these are perfect, because you can get obviously a pair of socks out of it. I know some people can get 4 of the, what are they, like trainer socks out of these as well. It calls for a 2 to 3 mil needle. Now my one is a 2.5. I think this other set is 2.25. I'm playing around with the needle size just to kind of get one that really fits well. So that's the paint box. Another yarn that I have that I love is West Yorkshire Spinners. They do a nice sock yarn, and this is called Rum Paradise, which is lovely and bright. And this is 4-ply, and this calls for 3.25 mil needles. But I'm going to obviously try that with a 2.5 to see how that knits up. Because also another good sock maker designer is Winwick Mum. She's got a free pattern over on her website as well, and she has in conjunction with West Yorkshire Spinners has her own range of yarn. She does different ones, which are kind of stripy ones, and that's another one of the West Yorkshire Spinners. What else? I've got Opal sock yarn. This, I love these colours, and this is called Sunny, And look at the pattern it makes there of the sock. Now that is going to look nice, so I want to make them as well. I want to start them, but I need to not be too giddy. Another West Yorkshire Spinners, which I missed, was the Yarndale Sockways. They colourway. They have 3 colourways now, I believe, and that's Barbara. That's that colour. They are really nice, and I've got to make some socks with them. But now I'm really like addicted to all the socks. That's why I've dug them out to have a look at, and I'm going to make them. I'm going to make them. I got this sock set, even though I'd only made 1 pair of socks a while back. This was the Christmas sock set, which I think might have been Christmas gone or Christmas before. And it's Stylecraft head over heels sock yarn. And they did a set of 4. So this one is Cupid. You've seen that? That is a nice pattern on there. And it's 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon. And this one is Comet with all the sparkles. And that is nice. See the pattern that makes? And then plain red, which is called Rudolph. Oh, look his nose. And that's the plain red, which you could make plain red socks and add some leftovers from the others. The sparkles would look nice. Or use it for your heels, toes and cuffs. So I've done it again. I did this on the first one. Heels, toes and cuffs. No, cuffs, toes and heels. I wonder my sock knitting's a bit challenging. I'm not doing it right. And then the final one in that set was called Vixen. And that is the colour stripes. That's a really nice set. I'm pretty sure you can still get these sets if you have a look online, or some of your local yarn shops will have them as well. And it came with a pattern, a selection of patterns, which I haven't done any of them either. I think that was, oh no, there's this other sock yarn as well. I'm showing you a selection because I was really rooting through the sock yarn. KFI collection, painted socks, perfect for if you're doing 2 socks at a time. This is called Purple Rain. Those of you who use it, reminds me of Shapey's Whirls, but for socks. And you can see the kind of pattern it makes. And I've got 2 of these sets. I haven't made any yet. And that's called Violet Hill. They're going to make nice socks. And they are 75% superwash merino and 25% polyamide. How nice is that? So yeah, I'm going to knit some socks with them. Don't think I'll be doing 2 at a time. No, I'm a maniac with 1 set of needles, so I think 2 might get a little too socks. Those of you who don't want a lot of wool, I bought this because of the colours, not because of the type. So it's Bamboo Superwash, 50% wool, 25% polyamide and 25% viscose. That's really nice. And that's softer, that is much softer than yeah, that's a bit softer than that one. But yeah, that will make a nice set of socks. I'll have them to do as well. So hopefully over the next coming months you will see that I might actually start using some of this sock yarn. Yippee! Because I've put that obviously on a yarn ban because I've got to be. Not forever though. So yarn bags. I've mentioned before I'm a big fan of RicRacRoom. I've got a number of her bags. She brought out the cutest little bag, and this is for holding that 1 skein of yarn. So I've got a yarn bowl, but this, I was away for a couple of nights with work. This was perfect for throwing in my bag. Not that I've got much time for knitting. And where you, if you've wound, I'm looking round for, that'll have to do. No, that one. You had your ball of yarn, obviously it's much smaller. But pull the elastic, then you can keep it, and it doesn't fly across the room like they do, particularly if you're on a train. I've done that before and the skein yarn's gone flying, or the ball of yarn. It's perfect for that. What I did use it for was my little project. I had a little project in there and I used it for that. I'm trying to see where it was, but I'll show you that afterwards. So I think what I'm going to do on another giveaway is actually give one of these away, because they're brilliant. I love people being able to see other makers and what they can do. I've just noticed it also has the, it has a little spring in it. Nice. Love it. It's adorable. So yeah, you could put a really little project, particularly if you're using minis, it would be perfect for that. Another yarn bag. I'm a massive fan of Emma Ball designs. Her books. I've got, I'll show you one of her books actually. Knitting Puffins, what is not to love? She does the sheep. I like the knitting sheep as well. This is a little project book which has various like conversions in there, yarn weights. So this is the knitting one, but also in there it has the make one left and make one right that I always forget how I should do it, and it shows you how to decrease, and it shows you yarn weights. That's just in the first page. And then if you're planning your projects, you've got the grid paper and then obviously the line paper, and she's got a number of bits in the sale as well. It's just lovely. And then colour me in if you want to do a bit of colouring. Yeah, knitting puffin. So I have a number of her items, her stationery I love. I've got the bigger version of this, but I love a wrist bag, so at least I can sit there knitting and not lose the bag. Perfect travelling or train journeys, or bus or boat, however you get to work. And it has the lovely knitted effect fabric. Doesn't have pockets on the inside, which is fine. It does have the leftover. That's the leftover from my socks. I use this for my socks. But it does have a front pocket, which has my row counter in. But it's a smaller version, so this is perfect. The other one, which I think is over there, is much bigger. So it would be, like if you're doing a cowl or colour work, it's perfect for that. But this is perfect for sock knitting. Look at the sheep. Anything with knitted clothing on, honestly. What am I like? So, Winnies yarn. I've been quite busy in Winnies yarn all the time. I've managed to dye my arm to the point I looked like I'd bruised all here, because I clearly had stuck my arm in a dye pot, hadn't noticed, and then thought, God, what have I done? Yeah, done. So I do dye myself as well. I see a number of people on Instagram whose hands are fully dyed. I don't do that. I do wear gloves, but occasionally the gloves split or leak, and then you'll end up with random patches. So what I want to do, I want to be able to knit up the yarn so you can see, you know, you spend money on the yarn, and feedback I've had, and also from being a yarn, you know, I buy hand-dyed yarn, is sometimes you don't know how it's going to look knitted up. So there's a number of yarn dyers that do knit up swatches so you can see, which is fantastic. But I don't want to end up with a pile of swatches, because what do I do with them? I know there's things you can do with them. So I looked on good old Ravelry. You get lost in a black hole when you do that. You go on Ravelry 2 hours later and you've added more patterns. So I was looking for free patterns for what you can do with your swatches, or what you can make. It was suggested I make jumpers and socks with my yarn, but they're quite small. Isn't that cute? I wish I'd been able to knit when I was a young girl. My Barbies and Cindy dolls would have been all the knitwear they would have been wearing. It's adorable, but unfortunately I have arthritis coming in this hand, which is rubbish. So when I knit really, really small projects, at times it's really quite painful, particularly with so I did this, but it took me longer than I would hope because I found it fiddly. But I'm sure the more experience you get with knitting, then you'll, you know, these would literally fly off the needles. So for my own health and sanity, I'm probably not going to do these, although I think they would look adorable in, you know, like bunting. But talking of bunting, Tin Can Knits have a free pattern, which I believe is called Swatchtastic. And so when you're doing swatches for whatever garments you're doing, you can do a bunting swatch. This needs blocking purely because it's obviously curling up on the outer bit. This is free, and you can basically, so I'm going to end up with Winnies yarn bunting. It's going to make me happy, which I love, because I can show off the yarn I've dyed, but I'm also going to have, I love bunting. I would have it everywhere. I'm not sure Mr. Hendy would agree to it being everywhere. You could have it in the bathroom as well. So by doing it on the yarn, you can see, so an example of that, I've dyed these skeins of yarn here. These are 20 gram DK sock yarn, and is that one? Yeah, and that's what it looks like knitted up. So you can see that yarn knitted up. So I've also got another one on the go. My phone is ringing again. There. And it's that. There. So you can see the colours. I think it's really good to see how your yarn looks. I need a drink. I was doing so well, and then my phone kept ringing and ringing and ringing. It was my son, so I had to pick it up. So it's doing it again. But enough. No one podcasting. So where was I? I was talking about bunting. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I may get to the point where I've got too much bunting and I have to do something else, but it'd be really nice to actually, when I'm knitting up samples, they're quick, but also those of you who buy the yarn, you can see how it looks, because it doesn't always look how it looks in a skein or a ball. It's still good, but it's what you might decide it to be. So I've dropped the yarn on the floor. I've been really busy with yarn dyeing. I actually have the wash basket. No time for washing because it's all full of yarn. So I have been I've obviously been in quite a bright mood because I have been dyeing some bright, cheerful colours. I'm just looking where my other one is. Because I've already gone through this, it's now just a pile of yarn. There was actually a little bit of order with it. So I have made some lovely colours up with emeralds and apple greens and pinks and magentas. And it looks like, just trying to get the skein. I undid this skein and obviously need to wind it back up. So it's that kind of colours. So I am hoping to knit up. What I am doing is when I'm dyeing the sock yarn or DK, I'm putting in a 20 gram mini of that yarn so that I can knit up obviously the bunting samples. So that is that one. If you look also over on this YouTube channel, you will see I've done little videos, little shorts, videos of some of the new yarns, so you can actually see them not quite in person, but a bit more visually. And that's that one. So I've got some of that left. These are on the website, Crochetknitlovebyjo.com. If you go on my website, you'll see a section for the shop, which is Winnies yarn, which you can go in to there. I have also made up, I'm going to insert a picture, my friend Dan actually has knitted some socks in Winnie's garden which look fab. I'm going to pinch her picture so I can show you. And I have also dyed some more of that colourway, which is greens and pinks. I love that combination. So there's some more of that in sock yarn. I'd actually we'd sold out of the sock yarn. So I'm also making, I've been dyeing some 50 gram sets in DK sock yarn, because there are a number of you out there who will actually knit 2 at a time. I am never going to be that person. I can just about keep socks on one set of needles without adding another pair of socks. I see why people do it. I would like to. I just don't think I'm there to do it, or in that kind of yeah, I just don't think I'm going to master that currently. I'm just trying to find, I had everything beautifully laid out. I had all my Winnies yarn together, and of course as I'm talking about it on the podcast that wasn't recording, I'm throwing it all in and messing it all up. So these are the 2 50 gram minis. I've got a number of sets in my shop on my website. There's 2 sets there. The sets, they have greens and pinks and blues, and they have some speckles. You'll see there's a few speckles. Love a speckled yarn. I've also got some colourways which are, remind me of apples. Greens with some russet colour, I think, is in there, and vermilion. I really like that colour as well. So that's another set. I have, is that one? Which is one here's one I undid earlier, which has speckles, blues and reds. They look a bit Jubilee, but obviously I was a bit slow to that and did them after the Jubilee. But they have nice speckles of blue and reds in there and dashes of pink. So that's what that one looks like. I also have some grey, which I think I might have shown last time, but just I've been asked for a kind of plain grey base, but they have a little really subtle speckles. Blink and you miss them. So I've got some of those greys. I also have got some more of those 50 grams. There we go. That consists of browns, yellows, oranges. There's speckles in there. You might see there. A little bit of, I think there's a bit of lilac, some pinks in there. I think it depends on the mood, what colours you end up doing. Sometimes I have very clear in my head, I'm going to do this colourway. Other times it's just mix it up. But I am writing the colour recipes down for the ones I really like. That's another set. That's a set I've shown. And then I have got another one to this where it's, there we go, blues and lavenders. But even if you don't do 2 at a time, is still there. When I dye them, they mirror each other. Obviously they'll probably, you know, depending on how you knit them or where you start, but you'll see that they've got, it also depends on how you wind the skein up. Sometimes they'll look more blue, but it's because of you've wound it up the opposite end to the other one. But that's a really nice set. I've also been a little crazy with the minis. I'm just going to show you the bunting that I showed you before. That one there. That's the actual 20 gram mini of that. So you can see what it looks like. I've been dyeing quite a few mini skeins. I've put some that are sets together. So there's some blues which have been dipped several times, so they get like a grey in them as well. I like them. These are all merino yarn, but it's the superwash that has nylon and the merino in it, so they're perfect for socks as well, but you don't have to do them for socks. You can use them in hats or shawls. I've made some little sets up with them, with the dark one, there we go, where you'll have like lavender with these. So they're different sets. I want to do some bigger sets, you know, the 100-gram sets, which will be perfect for shawls. I'm going to be doing some of them next. And I've also got a number of different sock yarns that I've dyed, the pinks and the purples. You'll see some of them, they're a little bit like a tie-dye effect. It's how I've dyed them. So I often dye them where the skeins are laid out, but some I actually dye by dipping as an actual little skein or a big skein, and then you may open them up and dip them into the other colour. It just creates a different type of effect. So I'm going to have some, even on the sock yarn, I'm going to have some samples made up as well. Sock yarn bunting and DK bunting. I've got to stop saying I've done. I've dyed some oranges, pumpkin colours. No, it's not October yet, but you never know. There are a lot of organised people out there who plan ahead and have their projects already sorted or planned out or made. And then I have made some little skeins. This really nice sock yarn. I use the Sheila's Gold or Krypton sock yarn, which is really soft. It has, you'll see, fairly high twist on it, which makes it just, you don't get that big halo on socks. I mean, you know, you could add alpaca yarn, or I can't think what the fluffy stuff's called. Brain's gone. No, empty head. And that will give you a fluffy halo. But I really like these. These are perfect. You can make socks where you could use these as your toes and heels, which obviously I've said before. But that has a few splashes of red in it. I love a speckled yarn. Speckles and splodges. I'm not sure splodgy? I'm not sure splodge is the correct technical term, but works for me. So yeah, there's some oranges as well. And then, I don't know what mood I was in when I was dyeing that. It's quite dark. I really like that though. It's pinks and teals. I love a teal yarn. So I mixed it up with a bit of vermilion, teal, magenta, and I think a splash of burgundy was in there as well. Very random. So I think I want to say that's all. Yeah, so really does depend on the mood, but I love these. Really like these. These are that bright green. I've got a really, really bright green, and I've got an emerald. I think that's one of the bright ones, which is lovely. And obviously you get a mixture of browns. When I dye them, they look like they're in blocks of colour, but it's how I dye them to then get this very random effect. It's lovely and soft yarn. I love squishy yarn. So I think that's all of it. I've shown that one as well. There's a lot. There really is a lot. And if you buy a skein of yarn before the end of June, so if you buy 100 grams sock yarn, for example, you will get a 100-gram mini. Right, it's not 100 gram if it's mini, is it? Start again. If you buy 100-gram sock yarn, you will get 100. Oh, stop. I got it right first time round when I was supposedly recording before. Right, third time lucky. If it doesn't work, I hope you know what I mean. 100-gram sock yarn with a 20-gram mini. You will basically get the 20-gram mini free, and I will do it so that it coordinates with your skein yarn. Obviously they're a bit, but it may be a case that you get like a solid colour with it. I've just done one recently where a lady bought, it was like all the purples and pinks, and I put in a really bright pink, so the contrast really works well together. If you buy the DK sock yarn, then I'll throw you in a DK mini, 20-gram mini. Unless you wanted to try the sock yarn and you're buying the DK, you just need to put a note so I know. I've got no issue doing that, mixing the two up. But that is only till the end of June, so hurry up before they sell out or I keep them all. So I think that's everything. I feel like I've recorded an exceptionally long podcast, but I've actually recorded, well, I haven't recorded it twice. I've gone through it twice and recorded it once. So, yes, I hope you have a lovely couple of weeks. Hope you get to do some knitting, crochet, crafting, sleeping, reading, whatever it is that you walk in, whatever it is that you enjoy doing. And if you like or want to subscribe, please do so below, because it makes me smile. And I will catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time. It'll soon be here again. And enjoy your knitting or crochet, and take care and stay safe. I'm an idiot. So, as you know, recorded podcast, but it wasn't recording. Redid podcast, talked about the same things again. Completely forgot the giveaway in the actual recording. So I apologise for that, because I always do a giveaway. Quick end to the video, because I can't face recording the video all over again. The winner of the cottons, with a couple of other little things thrown in, is Angela Allen. So Angela Allen, you commented, I always reply to the comments. You've actually commented twice on both podcasts, and my son picked you because you said you would make face scrubbies and shower puffs with the cotton, which he liked the idea of, because he knows that obviously I make some of them as well. I think he literally will read the comments and go, yeah, I like the sound of that one. But anyway, Angela Allen, congratulations, you've won the cottons. If you can send me your address, ideally on Instagram, because it's easier for me to pick up those messages, or you can email me at, I'll put it underneath because I've forgotten it. I've actually got an email address that you can send your address to, if that's easier. It's crochet, no, it's gone. It's either Gmail or Outlook. I think we've established I'm clearly tired. So Angela Allen, message me. I will send your lovely cottons out to you. And sorry that I didn't add this to the middle bit. You all take care. Goodbye again.